Welcome to the Life on Your Terms podcast with me, your host, Tracey Liv Howard. My intention is that each episode helps you remember who you are and serves to inspire and support you to reach your most important goals and live life on your terms. Let's get into today's episode. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the real reason why I stopped following politics in the news, why many people right now are exhausted and frustrated with political conversations and the news feeds, and honestly, what lessons are in front of us right now to learn about this. I'm going to talk about getting out of living in drama, out of living in dualism, and how you can start using your greatest power, which is the power of choice, to engage in society and the world from a higher level of consciousness. Here's my story. In the last 6 years in particular, I have been consciously disengaging with politics, political conversations, and reading the news. Now, backdrop on me, I have a master's degree in public policy from American University and 2 undergraduate degrees, one in political science and one in psychology, okay? I have studied politics up to the master's level. I lived in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, for over 8 years during the Obama administration. So all things considered, I've been deeply interested in politics, policy, and in societies. But what I think happened was when I moved to London and I got out of the country and I got out of the United States, this is my experience as an American, I just kind of saw the U.S. from a more impartial place, more of like witnessing. I would just be almost witnessing now because I was no longer in it. I was just watching it. And I slowly realized why I didn't want to be part of those conversations in that way anymore. Well, Deepak Chopra kind of hit it on the head for me. He said, many of our intentions are to live beyond the grip of drama. We don't want to live our life in this constant chaotic experience of drama, of, the next headline news, the next problem, and, the next person to fear, all the changes we have to make in our life. Because, what I noticed was politics and the news was just pulling people around and getting us to shift every which way. And the other issue was that the conversation, that type of drama, was very low level. It was very low vibration of consciousness. Most of the dialogues going on, and I'm talking mainstream media and mainstream politics, is absolutely all rooted in fear and in separation. Meaning, I am right, you're wrong. Those people are not like us. And it's in this fear energy. And the more that I, and probably you as well, the more that you're growing yourself, stepping out of fear as a driver in your life, stepping into wanting to meet people with more love, compassion, more understanding, which is funny because these are all these virtues that like politics is trying to tout at us. But what is off is that that's not how the conversations are going. And so I want solutions that are rooted in love, kindness, compassion, and good for the whole. And I want dialogues with people where we realize our differences are extremely important and not to be feared. As I was witnessing everything, I found myself living and moving into 3 countries during the pandemic. As I was completely disengaging with the political spectrum and the news, I was realizing there's nothing I can do about that. That's all going to go on with or without my engagement. And so I have a choice. Do I want to be constantly in that grip of drama, in conversations of fear and separation? Or do I want to shift that? Do I want to maybe disengage and go where I'm treated best and decide, at least for me, that I'm okay to dismantle my physical life or my environment in order to take care of my inner life? You see, that stuff was coming inside of me, and that was no longer okay. And I know for you and many people, we're feeling stuck and frustrated with political conversations seeping into our life, like seeping into our workplaces, into our schools, into our families and our dinner conversations. And it's only because these conversations are sadly rooted in a conversation of fear and separation. And no wonder we are finding ourselves not wanting to go there, because we're trying to keep our vibration higher. We're trying to go have a conversation about a solution that's beyond what most people are trying to talk about. For me, what I know in coaching and also my own life experience is that pain is really a sign that something's wrong. So we feel pain. It could be physical pain, it could be emotional pain, or even just that sense of pain spiritually, that there's something off. It's really okay. Pain's a mechanism to alert us that something needs our attention, and we probably need to change something inside of us and outside of us in order to get back to equilibrium and balance. So I had this limiting belief and worry and fear that if I wasn't engaged in politics or like what's going on in the news, it means I don't care about people. I don't care about being part of the solution. And I was going to I had this image that I'd just go live in my little bubble while everyone else had to work things out and suffer. And I was just kind of living in my own world. And I had to really work through that. But I realized that the pain I was experiencing in that energy of news and politics within fear and separation, it was telling me to not engage that way. And so I was like, well, okay, what can I do? And you're probably thinking, well, if I'm not engaging in politics and the news, then what can I do? Like, how do I bring a greater level of consciousness to my workplace, to the schools, without jumping into something that doesn't feel right? Well, I want to give you 5 things that you can do right now that can make a very positive impact on politics and the world and society without following the mainstream way. So the first one, you got to stop opening the news on your laptop and phone and TV. Turn off the news. Turn it all off. It's okay. You'll be fine. If something crazy happens, you're going to find out. Trust me, I find out. I remember getting a text message on WhatsApp when I was in London, and someone said, "Oh my gosh, are you by the London Bridge?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm in Marylebone." And they're like, "Oh, okay. There was like a terrorist attack, people were driving into people on the London Bridge." That was all over the news, but someone who cared about me dropped me a message and asked if I was okay. So I think you have to trust that the news and politics is going to keep going and you don't need to watch it. The second thing to do is you can choose to let others know that you don't want to talk about a particular subject. People can start talking about politics or the news, and you don't have to go into it. Like, you do not have to jump into that burning hot bottle of boiling water. You don't got to jump in. Okay, and I do this all the time. I do this with my husband, Chris, a lot, where he'll start talking about like the latest headline and he'll send me something on Twitter that can like agitate me. And I just look at it and I just say, and he talks to me about it. I was like, okay, good, great. It's almost like I don't care, like I'm apathetic to it, because if I don't have something important to say, I'm not going to go there. And if it's not in the right energy, I honestly don't engage. Please feel free to do that. A third thing is very interesting, but you can choose to not be a consumer. I mean, financially a consumer. Okay, so how you spend your money is a huge tool that can influence society, businesses, people's lives in an incredibly powerful way. If you reduce your expenses and reduce your stuff, you are much more flexible and agile with your movements. You can move if you need to. You can maybe leave a job and go somewhere with lower taxes and, have a better quality of life for yourself. You're able to, maybe if you're living and saving your money well below your means, you're able to change where your kids are going to school. You could really start to make those empowered choices, because financially you are living in a way where the money and everything that you spend is so intentional to impact society in the way that you want it to be. Where are we at? Okay, the fourth one. Well, okay, so this is me. This is where I'm at right now, that you can choose not to send your kids to traditional schools. I mean public and private school. I want to give a shout out to Acton Academy. We're going to send our kids to the Acton Academy wherever we end up living. That our kids and how they're educated, what they're told to believe, what they're exposed to, all of that comes through mass subjects in schools. And I think that schools are extremely behind. They're not educating our kids how they need to be for a workplace in 20 years. I've been really questioning this since I have a 3 and a 4-year-old. And so, yeah, school is a big deal. And you should really think about it if you have kids. I don't care how old they are. Really think about how they're learning how to learn and think for themselves so that they can be those positive citizens in the world that we're really wanting our children to be. And then the fifth one, which is what I do a lot of coaching around and supporting people to live on their terms, is you can choose to not make it your long-term plan to work for somebody else, doing something you don't love. You know, how we work, how we spend our time engaging in something is so critical. Your light that you have in this world, the light that you have that needs to come through, I believe in a huge part is going to be part of our outer purpose in what we do professionally for our careers or whatever projects we're putting on. So make sure that how you're working and spending your time is going to be influencing society, influencing people in a positive way, and basically is putting your thumbprint, your stamp on something that's good for others. You do not need to engage in politics and the news to be a positive citizen in society. You are doing a great job right now, moving through so much of that drama that's happening, but you do not need to engage with it. So feel free to use this as a sign if you'd like to start your own practice. Join me and practice moving towards your own truth with what's happening in the world and tapping into how you want to be living every day, your time, your money, how you're organizing everything to be in a way that's for the highest good for yourself and others. I truly hope that this episode inspired you to realize that there's so much more out there, and so many of us are being called to step out of that noise and drama and create something really meaningful as we're alive here on Earth. Big hugs. A big thank you for listening to this episode. I truly hope you got what you needed. If you want to get more from me each week, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. To be notified of new episodes, workshop opportunities, and more, subscribe to my email list by heading to the link in this episode description. I'm wishing you joy, happiness, and love.